we ended up, basically he was sort of eating, what was it, like a pack of hobnobs a day in the end when we put it down. It was like he'd have 4 with a cup of tea here, 4. And I was like, we'd do a food diary. He'd read it and go, that's probably where I'm in trouble, isn't it? I was like, yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to Fab Rugby. You join me, Craig, and Will from Young Rugby as we start a brand new series ahead of the new season. In this series, we'll be looking behind the scenes at some of the people that you might not know about.
Yeah, in this series, we'll be having a look at some behind-the-scenes players and staff from all over the Premiership to find out what they do on a day-to-day basis. Well, welcome back to Fab Rugby, and I'm delighted to be joined by Craig, obviously, and Andrew Petts, the performance nutritionist for Bristol Bears. Hello, Andrew. How are you? You well?
Yeah, very well, mate. Thank you very much. Just enjoying a tiny bit of downtime before the craziness ensues again.
Well, we want to learn a bit more about what you do today. Would you mind just sort of giving us a bit of an insight into what your sort of day-to-day life sort of entails as a performance nutritionist, and what that sort of role sort of what you do at Bristol Bears, really?
Yeah, fair. So I think just sort of main sort of role is just to help the boys really as much as I can. So obviously they go through some really sort of tough physical demands, and it's just being able to support them. So obviously, game of rugby in itself is very attritional. We know that. It's obviously contact-based. It's high speed. It's aerobic. It's you name it. It's involved in it. So what we're trying to do from a sort of nutritional point of view is sort of underpin the training that goes with it. So obviously, the S&C coaches and the rugby coaches put the boys through their paces quite a lot. So we'll try and sort of, as a sort of nutrition sense, underpin that and fuel that, help them recover, for them to go again. And basically everything sort of revolves around that game on the weekend then. So what can we do nutritionally to get them ready for that? And then obviously when they play it, what can we do nutritionally then to get them back into training to go again? So it's a never-ending circle, really.
I mean, these rugby players are sort of notoriously known to be these big, massive boys who must eat like the whole of Bristol for breakfast. How do you keep these boys in such tip-top shape when, obviously, as human nature is to when you're that big and when you're exercising consistently, you obviously want to keep on top of your diet. How difficult is it to sort of restrain and to keep these boys intact?
It depends who you ask me about, to be honest. Nah, to be fair, I mean, when I came in, we were in a good place. When I came back to Bristol, we're in a good place. Obviously, now kicking on, we're in a much better place, and it helps when you've got Pat Lamb, who is so interested in every aspect, and nutrition and body comps are no different. We do a body comp test every month, and we monitor weight every couple of times a week. So we're sort of constantly monitoring where the boys are at. And obviously, if you want to be part of the sort of team and play for Pat, then you have to sort of go through the expectations that he has. So to have a director of rugby that's so involved in what you do as a practitioner just gives you that extra element. So it's almost like, yes, all right, the boys will be interested, and some of them, I promise you, are. I want to know this. I want to know everything. Some are like, nah, just tell me what to eat. I don't care. But having that backup from Pat and obviously Kev Geary, who's the head of athletic performance, to have those guys driving the standards and sort of putting the work out, it does make it a lot easier. The players themselves, again, it does actually depend on who you're asking about. But someone like Semi Radradra, for example, just is a specimen. He's in top nick. He has listened to sort of, obviously he's just come in, he's listened to his own body, he knows exactly what to eat. But we've got then academy kids that are sort of scratching around, and that's when I come in and just I see my role as more of like an educational role, and just saying, okay, this is good at this point, this is good at this point, and sort of help them sort of make the right decisions. Some boys are genetically gifted, and I'd put Semi in that bracket for sure.
So do you sometimes get academy lads turn up? Because obviously some of them might just be coming from school. Do you go? So what do you sit down and do like a questionnaire? And do you ever just sit there like, oh, this is going to be?
Yeah, we had a academy player once. He over the off season, that's sort of the time where where things go a little bit awry, I would say. But we had a kid come in once. I'm not going to give names away, but because I'll embarrass him. He's not here now, actually. But we ended up, basically, he was sort of eating, what was it, like a pack of hobnobs a day in the end. When we put it down, it was like he'd have 4 with a cup of tea here, 4. And I was like, we'd do a food diary. He'd read it and go, yeah, that's probably where I'm in trouble, isn't it? I was like, yeah.
It's a good choice of biscuit, though. If you're going to go for a biscuit, a hobnob's a great choice.
Yeah, if you're going to go for a proper biscuit, I agree. Not that I know what they taste like, but...
When Semi came in and obviously having someone of his level coming into the squad, has there been a knock on the door yet of your office that someone's come in and gone, what's he doing? Like, can you put me on his diet plan? Has anybody kind of been like, I'd imagine for the youngsters, particularly the academy lads, they're looking and going, whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, is it that having somebody like that in the camp, is that really that? Has it changed the way Bristol were? I know you've obviously moved into new facilities as well, but I just wanted to get a kind of gauge how much of an impact it's made so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it's not just Sam. I mean, Carl Sinclair's come in, and again, as a man, to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time with him because he is on the pulse with everything. He knows his body inside out. He knows what he needs to do to fuel it. I'm there for support if he needs it. But again, he's stepping up and saying, this is where we want to be. Pat's almost vetting these players to go, yeah, he fits in with the ethos. He can play rugby, but actually he's at the top of his game. He knows what he's doing. So these people that are coming in, they are setting the new standard, and people are rising up, and you can physically see it. Whether they're knocking on my door, not quite to say what's his secret diet. It's not secret. I mean, I've got a phrase: brilliance in the basics. Just getting it right, just getting the carb loading right, just getting the protein for recovery, good fats, loads and loads of colour, fruit and veggies. Obviously, especially at this point in time with COVID flying around, extra illnesses, we can't have them. So getting a massive variety of fruit and veg on the plate, and I'll be honest, that's what he does. His plates are always vibrant, always colourful, always full of good choices. We've got a fantastic chef now at the new facility he's sticking to my menus mostly. Just right there and there. I'm thinking, no. But he is being a revelation himself, actually, the new chef coming in, Kev Webb. So
we've kind of spoken a bit about it, but these players seem to have like a proper system in place, and that sort of 7-day period sort of repeated every week of a strict sort of rule book of the yes and no's to do when it comes to eating. How much of a spanner in the works was midweek games last season? How much did that affect recovery processes and prepping towards games? Sort of, what was that? How much of an impact did that make to your role?
Yeah, huge. I mean, you're asking the players to go out and put their bodies on the line for 80 minutes. You usually got a full recovery. I mean, the sort of smallest time you'd have is sort of 5 days. You've seen boys in the World Cup 4 days, things like that, and you think, wow, that's pretty intense. And then you look, and we've got 3 games in 8 days. You're just thinking, fair play to the boys. But yeah, I mean, we look at different things. We look at protein as a massive help rebuild their damaged muscles. We look at collagen to help sort of ligament and tendon ailments, anyone creaking, anyone that just sort of isn't quite right. We look to 1% at that point, because it turns the whole season or the whole sort of week around. You're thinking, right, okay. I mean, they were managed really well. We've got the GPS on them, so we know limits, we know thresholds. But purely from my point of view, is we'd usually sort of tailor the nutrition. So we potentially build up to the game with a little drop off midweek, and then we build again. But with midweek game, we'd build, then we'd recover. So we'd always stay quite high with the carbs and things like that. So we wouldn't sort of come off as such. So yeah, it did. It threw a few spanners in. It made us sort of earn our money, as it were, just to try and get the numbers right and make sure that the food that we're putting out, for example, the supplements that we're using with the first team, are adequate. They are what the boys need at this time.
Do you ever see one of the lads' Instagrams where they're eating something, and do you ever drop them a message? Like, do you ever see something? That's definitely not what I've told him.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes you're just thinking, please listen to. But no, to be fair, like I say, there's great engagement with the players, especially when they're injured. They're really switched on and they want to get back. So you're talking people like Nathan Hughes at the moment and Charles Piutau, like they're inundating me with information, and it's credit to them. They want to get back. They want to get better. They want to get on the pitch. But yeah, sometimes you just flick through that Instagram or Twitter and you just look thinking, and you take, I have done it a few times, taking a screenshot and gone, really? And then,
I'll see you Monday morning, like in the office.
Yeah. We're body fat testing on Monday, lads. See you. Just not right. The guys, I've mentioned him once already. I'm going to do it again. The guy's an inspiration, but Max Leaf does a few little diet things on his Instagram, and have a little look at that. He is an incredible man, and he's in great nick as well. So he can get away with a bit more. I'd say.
And his commentary is superb as well. That's what sells it, definitely. Thank you very much for joining us today, Andrew. It was absolutely brilliant. We've learned so much about it all at Bristol and that, and yeah, good luck for the next season.
Cool. Cheers, boys. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Bye.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.